the film The Departed. He was in Goodfellas. He's also was in Pineapple Express for the Cannabis Coffee Hour. That's perfect. Give it up for Mr. Kevin Corrigan, everybody. Kevin. What was your first concert?
Kiss.
You saw Kiss?
Yes.
Where?
Madison Square Garden.
Holy shit. Year?
July 1979, July 25th.
New York City.
Yeah.
New York Groove. Did they play that?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Oh, wow. How much did that blow your mind up?
We got a little surprise for you tonight. We're going to turn the microphone over to Ace Frehley. Yeah, that was the big hit.
And then Ace Frehley saying, I'm not a super Kiss head. I went in, hip-hop was my first love of music, was Houdini, the first Run DMC. My older brother, those guys were Kiss. I knew tons of metalheads. But everybody that lived Kiss, it's like their favorite introduction to rock and roll. And it is a perfect introduction to rock and roll and show business.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're New York for sure, you know?
Yes.
Queens, Brooklyn. Peter Criss is Brooklyn. Gene and Paul, Queens. Ace, Bronx. But Paul is also Bronx.
And Ace sings New York Groove. Who sings New York Groove?
Ace.
Ace. So Ace is the dopest name of them all. Where was he from? Queens or South Bronx?
Bronx.
He's from Bronx, like
He's
you.
from Bronx. From the same neighborhood, Marshallou Parkway.
Give it up for the Bronx. Some of the best artists, some of the best Americans, some of the best New Yorkers. And a New Yorker. I'm just going down this hole because I was just so psyched to have you here, and that's what I wanted to talk about was being a New York actor and that vibe of rock and roll in the 70s. And seeing live music in New York City, that's some of the best music in the world. Some of the best shows.
It was an exciting time to be, like if you're born in the late 60s and you have like older siblings born around 59 or 60 or 61 who were into like really cool. I have a friend whose older brother was into The Doors and Zeppelin and like had actually seen those bands. And he would give his younger brother like 8-track tapes for his birthday of the Rolling Stones, Hot Rocks. And I ended up borrowing all that stuff from my friend Chris.
This was an actual, shout out to Chris Ramos, actual question I had in my head in the shower. Right now, you walk into the apartment, are you putting on the Rolling Stones? Or are you putting on Led Zeppelin? What's in your soul?
That's
let me guess.
We're walking a line there. Yeah.
I want me to guess.
Yeah.
I think it's Stones.
Yeah,
I think for you give me a Stones vibe. I don't know if it's a Martin Scorsese thing going on. I don't know what's happening, but I think you like the Rolling Stones a lot.
It's true, yeah. Jumpin' Jack Flash, Gimme Shelter, all those Scorsese Stones kind of staples. But also, I love Emotional Rescue, and She's So Cold, and that like kind of
She's So Cold is the baddest.
1980 Stones vibe, early 80s Tattoo You. I mean, I went to see them on the Steel Wheels tour.
Nice, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's a good. What did you think of that?
It was great. It was.
You liked them? Yeah, they were in good. That was a little bit later. That's not dirty 70s Rolling Stones. That's 80s Rolling Stones.
It is. But it's the best part of their 80s output, besides Tattoo You. There was like
that was 80s. Tattoo You.
Like Start Me Up is as classic a riff as Satisfaction. But then there's that middle period. I like the middle period, Undercover of the Night and, Dirty Work and the Harlem Shuffle.
Yeah, those are good.
A lot of people consider that, middle period. Jagger went solo for a while.
But that was their New York period. That had a lot of Lower East Side vibe to me.
Yeah. Like,
you know what I'm jamming to that the Rolling Stone I think you might dig is Cherry, oh, Cherry, my baby. It's a Mick Jagger reggae tune. Hiram, you know that joint? Okay. Do you know that song?
No.
Cherry O Baby?
No,
Oh,
no.
you gotta check out Cherry O Baby. It's Mick Jagger and Peter. It's Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. It's a Rolling Stone song, and it's a reggae song, and it's an original Jamaican song, and it's got this. They have the best drums.
Yeah, when did that come out?
I think in the early '80s when they were hanging out in Jamaica. Remember when Keith Richards had a band called the Wingless Angels, and he lived in Jamaica. Those guys had to run out of Europe and live in Jamaica and shit.
He had another side project called the New Barbarians or something.
Yeah,
he had a lot.
I
of
remember that. I think I had a New Barbarians tape.
Yeah. Those guys were itching to do something besides the Rolling Stones. You could tell they were trying to do other things besides the band.
Yeah, I always say music is crazy.
I love Keith. I love Talk Is Cheap and Main Offender, the solo records.
Ooh.
The Keith Richards solo stuff.
Yeah. I like Keith. Yeah, Keith has some. He does a few songs, but the ones he does, he just kills it. You know. Yeah. Did you ever meet Keith Richards?
No, I was in an elevator with him once.
Oh, cool.
In this was like 1990 or something. It was in the Directors Guild, that building on 57th Street between 6th and 7th. There was a casting director's office in that building. And there was like a music licensing or a lawyer, music entertainment lawyer.
Heavy entertainment agent place. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I got
Rights.
it was, I don't know what the audition was for, but there was a bunch of other like dudes. And, we all got on the elevator together after the audition. And, we were kind of like vibing each other like, competition and stuff.
Yeah, I know the gig.
And then one floor down, the elevator door opens and Keith Richards gets on with a lit cigarette. So I inhaled his secondhand smoke for 2 or 3 flights.
Must have smelled great. I don't smoke cigarettes. I kicked tobacco early on, but I started early. But I do. My mom smoked cigarettes, so there is a nostalgia. I do like a good cigarette now and then. Now that I'm not, I like the smell. It's nostalgic.
Yeah. That's true for me too.
Do you smoke cigarettes now?
No, I can't tolerate it. I can take one puff and it's like,
Yeah, same. It feels like it's aging me rapidly with every cigarette that I take.
Yes, although I do remember when I could enjoy a whole cigarette.
Oh, cigarettes and beer, nothing better in your 20s. Yeah. But I'm more coffee and weed these days.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I like a one hitter. You can sort of manage your intake. You don't have to smoke although I guess there was a time.
You're a wise man, and you're 100% right.
Yeah.
No, the thing about cannabis is the less you smoke, the higher you get. And then the more you smoke, the lower you get, True. It's so true. So you're actually you're a smart, high-level actor.
It takes about 20 years to arrive at that way. So
Yeah, exactly.
By then you're burnt out.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Then you got to meditate, a couple hours a day and stretch.
Today, everyone's walking around with the vapes and the pens and they can moderate. You can have as much or as little as you want.
All the time.
Yeah.
With everything, consuming everything. And that's, there was 2 questions. I got your artwork here. I want to talk about that. There's one little, I was going to try to Obama that fly. Catch it. But we have your artwork here. But I also want to just talk about your acting. I love this artwork, which is also on the waterfront. It's a charcoal Marlon Brando picture. And you're an amazing actor, and Marlon Brando is an amazing actor, but you also got to...
This is it's actually graphite pencil.
Sick.
On watercolor paper. There might be some like oil stick in there to get the darks but the original of this is 18 by 24, and this is an 8 by 10 print. But it's Marlon Brando. He's my favorite actor, and so making artwork like drawing Marlon Brando is like getting to work with Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
Or that's kind of the part of the what I enjoy about drawing is I can pick a subject, any subject I want, anyone I want to be in the room with, I can be with them if I pick the right image, and it's after a while it starts to feel like I'm in the room with them.
Yeah, you're living it, man. Yeah, doing a portrait of somebody. I love drawing. I love lines. I always felt like I was born in '72. I got into music with hip hop, Houdini, Run DMC. I loved New York hip hop. I loved New York graffiti. I loved drawing. I loved lines. And you using pencil. And then what's the other that you're using, a oil stick?
Yeah, they have these like kind of oil paint sticks.
Sick.
So there's also a product called Liquid Original that Winsor and Newton makes, and it's for oil paint. But
I love how oil pops.
I like to apply it to the pencil. It sort of gives a second life to the pencil, especially if it's like a like B8, that really soft, dark lead. And it kind of reconstitutes the pencil.
Yeah, it's the shading you're doing with pencil, and then how long would something like this take? Because then it's just losing yourself in this creative moment, which is the best time when you're not thinking and you're just finding the line, and you got to find like the next step. Like, how long does this thing take?
That took about. I think I knocked that out in about 8 hours, in a just a straight 8 hours, from midnight to 6 is my usual time frame, but I'll keep going if I think I'm in the home stretch.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'll leave it unfinished and get back to it over the next 3 days. So sometimes it'll take anywhere from 8 hours in one shot to 3 days or a week if I get lazy.
Yeah.
But something like that where I'm just viscerally thrilled to be engaged with that subject. I'll work on it till I'll spend hours and hours.
I get it, man. I get it, because it's like you really do. This type of detail, you don't understand. He's doing the eyes, the shading. You're literally like, you're recreating the form, and then you understand the spirit that's behind it.
Exactly. You have your favorite performers, and you feel like what it's like to be them.
Their vibe.
Yeah,
their warmth.
If like, especially with certain actors, it's like they have a way of like sprinkling, kind of sort of squinting or.
That's how I feel about you, Kevin. We've only met once, and I feel that I've known you for so long. Oh. And you do, and I do. What I wanted to talk about is like acting, Marlon Brando and yourself. And Scorsese's type stuff is like, there is a subtlety. What I've learned from being a stand-up, from being like, stand-up is just so go so hard, and then acting is like this almost nature. I think it's like a meditative state, and then you kind of bring this just subtlety. And Brando is like, he's the king of the subtle. Am I right?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like that, but I just kind of came up with that one.
Well, I think he said that he would, or it's been said that he would do a take of a scene for himself, and one for like he would do one for real, and then he would do one phoned in, and he would leave it to the director to choose, and if they chose the one that he phoned in, he would know that was not a director that he wanted to work with or respected, or I don't know, something like that,
No, you're right. No, I know what you're saying.
How do you tell the difference? But
you know you know, if you're acting, if you're in it, I know if I'm doing a stand-up set, if I'm doing something hacky or I'm not even in the moment compared to, okay, let me be present. This is my job. I gotta do this. Or I can just be like, I'm gonna say these 5-year-old jokes and get the fuck out of here. So yeah, man. Yeah, you could tell. And I was gonna say, like, the truth is like telling in show business, like the core truth, and usually the artist knows it the best.
Yeah. Well, you're like you have a joke about push-ups and working out and the body like nothing out. No other thing in life gets better the more you stress it out. And then you know, a VCR doesn't turn into a Mac when you put the videotape in it and rewind it and, you know, whatever.
Kevin, thank you for quoting my joke. And that one doesn't even have labels, and it's an old joke, and it's a push-up joke. Yeah, I always say, I do believe that the human body is a temple. I do believe that this is all you got. You got to be, and as an actor, you're fucking running that spaceship. But yeah, this is the temple, and yeah, the more you do it, the better it gets. That's the divine design. AI can't do, you know, it's growing on some other shit, but it can't do deep knee bends. AI can't do this.
Can't do that.
I can do this, and I'm getting better by doing it. The human body is a trip, man. And as you get older, you know, it's like mentally, physically, I'm trying to keep it together just to get it through.
Yeah. Age, you know, things become, you know, like wine or something. You know, maybe that's an apt comparison. You know, like sweeter with age, or stronger with age, or you know, the more you stress something out. Like Christopher Walken would talk about, how did you get that hair? And he said he would pull his hair. His whole life has been pulling his hair. That's how you make it.
That's what they said John Kennedy did in the shower. Just pull on that thing, put it on cold. I did hear that.
You strengthen those follicles by pulling on them and stressing them.
He might be right.
Maybe, you know.
He's got a full head of hair. But you never know with hair, and but you're right, like life, like things that are hard do make you better and make you more aware, and pushing it, you know, as tired as you get, it being slack and soft sometimes with art especially makes it harder, and it's better to like try to get it out there and do it. And that's what I thought was so dope, that you have this showing, like you're selling this art in Astoria right now. Tell me about your exhibit over there.
Well, there are 6 original drawings up, hanging. They're large pieces, the originals, and I just made these prints. There are about 40 of those.
Have you sold art before? Have you done these showings before?
A year ago, I was in a show in Bushwick, and I sold some stuff at that time, and I'd never sold anything before that.
Oh, wow.
But I went to the High School of Art and Design. I didn't graduate from there, but I did go for a brief period.
And that was in Manhattan, right?
Yes, it was my freshman year of high school in 1987.
Wow.
No, 83.
Taking the subway, 83, bubble letters on the subway.
Yes.
People with switchblades.
I wasn't a graffiti artist, although I did have a friend who was, and he wanted me to go, you know, to go with him to the layup and get into it, and I was
to
like,
the park, to the trains.
Man, I ain't getting whacked.
Yeah, it is too crazy
for drawing and painting. Like but because the lifestyle included gang violence, you know. It seemed it was like this guy I know, he got, you know, in beef with like other graffiti artists, and I was like, nah, I'm not.
Yeah, violence is whack.
Well, you know, especially when it's hurled onto you personally.
While you're doing your art form.
Yeah. Although, I mean, that's you know, more power to you if you can do it.
Yeah, those guys are brilliant. They're psychos, but thank God they did. I loved it, and it is But yeah, doing art without being beat up and being having because when you said that reminded me of punk rock in DC and like Minor Threat and all this stuff. I remember that time, and my friend got beat up in the park. Like punks were violent dudes, not Minor Threat, those guys, but that scene. You know, you remember the '80s punks? Like they were tough guys.
Yeah,
like you
tough
just
scene. Yeah.
It was a tough scene.
Right.
Yeah. So going to music and going down to high school in New York in the '80s, was that scary? Did you love it, or was it traumatizing?
I dug it. You know.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, you know, I you know, like I didn't have much heart for the fighting, although I got into fights.
Same. Yeah.
You have to. It's going to happen. You
If
know?
you're a guy
The more
growing
you-
up in the
right.
70s and
Yeah,
80s,
the more you
yeah.
try to avoid it, the more likely you are to get into it with somebody at some point.
Yeah.
And you know, it's like anything. Once you go through it, as long as you don't get killed,
Yeah.
you come out the other end going, all right, I went through that. All right, whatever. It's not as scary after you have one fight and you know.
My dad gave me good advice when he was alive. He was like, don't get in a fight unless you know you can win.
That's sure.
I think it was the 70s. I mean, I think it was just like he'd been around the block. Like,
right. Well,
getting your ass kicked, there's nothing cool about that.
Well, you know, if you can take everyone takes a beating once. You know.
Yeah,
like
you
in
gotta take
Goodfellas,
it.
The way I see it, everybody takes a beating sometimes.
Yeah, you
But
do.
after a while, it's like, yeah, you know, if you build up a threshold for pain or stress, you know.
And it's kind of this dumb, loud energy as a kid. I kind of remember it, you know, just like, yeah, it's just that aggro dude at the bar. He's just like, it's no time for that type of shit, man.
It's aggression, you know, and we beat ourselves up.
Yeah.
You know. So I remember my mother telling me, like, my mother.
God bless her soul.
I was like getting, I had some conflict going on with a kid in the neighborhood. And she was like, you get into fights with your brother in the house. What's the big deal? You know, you know, it's like you've got into, you know, don't be a chicken shit. Get out there.
Yeah, she knew the deal too.
Yeah.
You got to stand up to the bully. When we were young, I had an older brother that was 3 years old that kicked my ass, full jock, played public school basketball, went on to the Navy, worked, you know, he was a tough kid, and I had to fight him all the time. Like, yeah, I got my ass kicked. Like, going out and meeting whoever wasn't as bad after that.
Right, but you know, because you don't know them.
It's scary. It's not cool energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's what you use that to your advantage. You count on, you know, these people you come across in public, not knowing what you got.
Yeah.
You don't know you don't know if they're you really don't know what the odds are when you get into a conflict with a stranger somewhere. And hopefully, you know, you can avoid the physical conflict somehow. You know, with a joke or something.
Yeah.
Like Richard Pryor said, like where he was from, violence was everywhere, and he had no heart for it, and that lots of comedians say that you know, I learned to be funny to get out of that situation. So
I hate violence
I would make
in sports.
if I could make the bully
Not sports, but
laugh.
fun. Yeah.
Then I got around that situation, and it's like that's
True.
So sometimes it's really just a matter of you know, figuring out you know, thinking on your feet and having
Saying the right word. The right word. I remember
and it breaks the tension.
It breaks the tension. You can get a bully. If you can get a bully to crack, you get a moment. You get a moment. If you can get like 3 minutes and get out of that situation, if you keep it moving.
Yeah. And you can break yourself that way too. You can be a bully to yourself.
That's a good point, man.
You know,
Kevin.
and it's like, yeah, you know, we have to
like, well, look at yourself. Why are you getting down? You're eating a sandwich, sitting here with a seltzer water. What do you got fucking to complain about?
Yeah. It's like, you know, it's like I gotta call. You know, it's like Man.
What I wanted to ask, I don't know how long we got. Hiram, how long have we been going? Me neither. He's kind of stoned. Yeah, but what I wanted to talk about was Martin Scorsese and The Last Waltz. Are you a Last Waltz fan?
Oh yeah, sure.
Is it the best musical concert on film?
The artist who sticks out in my mind the most is Neil Diamond.
Oh wow!
In that.
In that lineup of whether it's Neil Young was there, Crosby, Stills and Nash, a gospel group. It's just like Ronnie Hawkins. It's like this, and then Neil Young. Yeah, and he has a totally different style. You're right. Like they were a gritty, just a bar band at a high level, Dylan level.
Yeah.
And what I loved about that Neil Young, I don't know much. He's got the best jams. He does have. Did he write those songs?
Neil Young?
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're so good. But I know he came like Tin Pan Alley, or he comes from that era.
Oh, you mean Neil Diamond?
Neil Diamond, yeah, not Neil Young.
Oh, no,
Neil Young definitely wrote his shit.
No.
But what about Neil Diamond? I'm sorry, I spaced.
No. Neil Diamond wrote his songs too.
Yeah, brilliant writer. Brilliant. That's what I was trying to say. Brilliant writer. But I love Scorsese's pick of using the closing number as the opening number. My favorite is the opening number of that film, which is "Don't Do It." Don't you do it? Don't do it. And Levon Helms has this sick drumming style that only a Southern. I mean, it's just that laid back funk. But it's like you could tell the band was in their prime, and that was their last number, and they fucking murdered it, right? But he cuts that out and puts it as the opening with the credits. Like it looked so sick.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of The Last Waltz.
Yeah, that was a big loss this year, Robbie Robertson.
I know.
Right.
That threw me.
Yeah.
That threw me.
Yeah, me too.
I even liked his solo albums, like that Broken Arrow.
Great song.
Great song. It's a great song. The tone is right. Robbie Robinson was one of the best writers and guitar players. And even looking at I thought he was the coolest dude ever looking at that film. He actually has like a blue suede hoodie. His guitar is so sick in this film, and he knows like Scorsese has the best cameras, and he's just like, he's just in his prime, just like in the pocket, ripping it as a guitarist.
Yeah.
I know you started playing guitar at 18. I just started fucking around with it after playing violin when I was young, but I just love playing guitar. And Robbie Robinson had a cool style. Where are you at with guitar? Are you still playing? Do you?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff on like Instagram now, like I save a lot of those videos, like how to play the, opening lick to Chuck Berry song, or I just saved something today, but it's like I'm following so many of these accounts now, these people who will teach you, guitar riffs.
Yep.
Without, a lot of theory and a lot of,
I go through a Buddy, what is it, Bo Diddley phase. That's what I've been doing. I just love that rhythm, and I do love that classic tone, and I just like just getting in the zone and doing a rhythm with the guitar.
Yeah, like, if you learn one or two chords, you're good, depending on your mood.
I think I learned it wrong, though. Somebody told me, like, in order to go to bar chords, like, now I have to learn with these two fingers. Like, I was cheating and doing it with these two fingers, so I never jumped over. And I've been doing it for like 10 years, dicking around. But now I'm trying to be more present and putting my energy, just like with you and your art, like just trying to go deeper. And even though you might, it's not your number one thing, like just trying to push it.
Yeah. I like, this guy, John Fahey?
Sounds familiar.
Acoustic guitar. He's
wow.
like and he's into all these drop D. Like you take the
tuning,
the lower E string and tune it down, so that it's the same in the same, you know, it's an octave lower than the A string, but then you can just, you know, rather than like playing all those chords,
You can just fret it.
you can just fret it with one finger.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I got to figure that tuning out. Is that what you do? I know
Yeah,
Keith
no,
Richards does some funky tuning.
He takes a whole string off the guitar.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah.
The top string, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, and then,
like
then he redid this thing, and then it's like this gritty blues tone that's just perfect.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
really simple and cool.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that thing, yeah, I got to learn that. Is that what you're doing, that tune, and just riffing it?
Yeah, yeah. I've been, you know, yeah, I've been playing around with that, seeing what happens. But like I mostly keep all my instruments in a standard tuning, and just play like an E chord, and you know, take it from there, and then you know, transpose the chords up and down the fretboard, you know,
Yeah.
and see what happens.
It's like a piano. Like it's like you're almost like playing a computer at that point. It's so cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just need to, put some time into it and bar it up.
Sure. Yeah.
You've been in a few bands. Are you in a band now? Are you playing with anybody?
Well, yeah, I've been playing there's a group, it's called Big Daddy in the Sky.
I love the name.
It was kind of like John Lennon, came out of him saying, I believe, you know, when he got in trouble for saying the Beatles more popular than Jesus, and then he had to explain himself for the rest of his life what he meant. He goes, I believe in God, but not as like an old man in the sky.
They put him up.
I was explaining that to my daughter, and I said, that's all he meant. He meant, most people think that God is like this big daddy in the sky. She's like, that should be a band name. So then in 2019, I had an opportunity a friend of mine, Nick, he's in a band called Old Sport, and they were doing it. He had a residency at Pianos.
Yep.
And they
Lower East Side?
He said, it's in June, but he told me about this in like February. You want to open up for us? And I said, I don't have a band at the moment, but I'll have one by June. Yes, I'll open for you. So I got the actor Michael Shannon and I were in a play in 2002.
Cool.
And I was already jamming with this guy named David White, a drummer. He's also an actor and a writer. Mm-hmm. And then Dave and Mike and I started playing. And we had a reunion after 17 years. And that became Big Daddy in the Sky.
Oh, wow.
Me, Mike, and Dave. We opened for Old Sport at Pianos in June of 2019. Shannon was in a Broadway play at the time, but after the curtain call, he hopped in an Uber, came down to Pianos and played with us. I had the bass all set up for him, and we didn't have to rehearse at all. We just made it up.
Perfect.
And so we've done that a few times since then. We've done that 3 times this year.
So fun.
And on 2 of those occasions, we were joined by Kurt Weill.
Oh, shit.
So now Kurt Weill is like, because I was in a video called Loading Zones, a Kurt Weill song called Loading Zones.
I don't know Kurt Weill. I respect him as a
Yeah.
singer-songwriter. I know he's cool as hell, and he's got some great tunes.
Yeah, he's got a vast, kind of musical palette, and he
Like Lou Reed almost.
yeah, or Neil Young for that matter.
Yeah, singer-songwriter.
Like he does the sort of heavy rock electric guitar, and he plays beautiful like 12-string acoustic stuff, and
Zeppelin.
He can do it all, and he likes Big Daddy in the Sky.
Nice.
And now he's in it. He's in the band.
You got Kurt Weill. You can get a record deal. Big Daddy and the Sky is going to get Atlantic Records. Come on.
We'll see. Well, we'll be on one of those like free discs, free rubber CDs that comes with a magazine.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's another group now called.
Those were kind of cool. Mad Magazine had one.
Yeah. That's what you just. It's almost like a sticker. You peel it off and you put it on your turntable when it plays. But there's a group I have with in Astoria now. It's like me and George. George makes up the lyrics, I make up the riffs, and it's called NY Grimm, which is kind of a little bit of a bite off of UK Grimm by the Sleaford Mods. But
Sick.
we're going to do a gig at Mr. Beery's in Bethpage, late February.
Pennsylvania?
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Is it Connecticut? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
no,
so.
Long Island.
Long Island.
Long Island. Bethpage, Long
You're going
Island.
to do a road gig.
Mr. Beery's.
Mr. Beery's.
February 27th, NY Grimm.
NY Grimm.
It's going to be our debut performance.
You're going to knock it out of the park. I wanted to bring it back real quick to pianos, and I just saw Beastie Boy Corner got announced right there on pianos. And you did this film, am I right? Lost Angels was your first film credit?
You've done you've done your research. Yeah.
You know, I'm a Beastie Boy fanatic, and I try not to be too much on. I'm too old, and but at the same time, that is, I was watching it on YouTube last night. I remember seeing parts, and it has Donald Sutherland. Tell me about that experience.
It was a movie that it was supposed to be like a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
That's what I got from it.
It was about kids in a mental institution
during the Sean Penn Bad Boys era. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a movie that came out the same year as Lost Angels called Lost Boys.
Yes.
Which was a lot more popular.
But you had Ad Rock and Donald Sutherland and Kevin Corrigan.
Who else was in that? David Herman.
Wow.
Who else? Max Perlich.
The director's great, right?
Hugh Hudson. Yeah, he passed away. I think he passed away this year or last year. I can't remember. He made Chariots of Fire.
Wow.
And he made the movie with Al Pacino, Revolution, that Pacino went into hibernation for 4 years after that movie.
Films are hard, man.
Yeah. Although that's a really good movie. That's an underrated film, Revolution.
I'll check it out. Anything Al Pacino does, it is a clinic on acting and just being there.
Yeah, that guy. Oh man, we could talk about him for a while.
But back to the Ad Rock and all the Beastie vibe back in that day.
Yeah, Hugh Hudson. He also took a break after Revolution. And his, the movie he was supposed to come back with was Lost Angels. But then they rewrote it so that it wasn't just about the institution and about the kids who their parents put, these sort of...
It's an interesting story, and that was happening in the 80s.
Sort of Real Housewives, throw their kids into the institution.
Because they smoked twice.
Right, until the insurance runs out.
Yeah.
And so they're just these lost souls. But there was a gang thing going on, like the movie Colors with Dennis Hopper came out.
Yeah, there's some gun violence in it. I saw.
So they rewrote the script to include like a gang element, and that's where I lucked out. I got cast as a gang member.
Nice.
In Lost Angels, and so Adam Horvitz was cast as the kid who's in a gang. And then he gets arrested after a gang fight and put in an institution. So that's how they combine the two story elements. But I wasn't in the institutionalized part of it, just the gang part of it.
The cooler part. I always liked that Sean Penn Bad Boys movie. Yeah. I liked that gritty 70s, 80s, like coming of age, like kind of showing it kind of real, like lost souls.
Yeah, totally.
Trying to figure it out. What was the other one? New York Eccentric was My Bodyguard. I remember that film being really cool. Matt Dillon was in that, yeah.
Yeah, Matt Dillon, Sean Penn, they were kind of like punk actors.
Yeah.
In their time, in that time, that 80s, mid 80s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Street kids shown on film. Yeah, and I think you come from kind of that ilk of just showing regular guys kind of doing the thing.
Yeah, I saw My Bodyguard when it came out.
In New York.
In Yonkers. and like that's where Matt Dillon is from, pretty much, Westchester.
Cool.
And he was for real in that movie.
Yeah.
Like I remember being like frightened of like you know, just
He was the
watching-
coolest
just
dude.
watching the movie, it was like, that guy's like,
Yeah.
it's so real.
So real.
He's an artist now, you know.
I could see that. I could see that.
Painter, fine artist. Also a music guy. He cast me in a Dinosaur Jr. video.
Oh, awesome.
He directed the video for "Get Me" off of the Dinosaur Jr. album "Where You Been."
I think I saw this. Yeah.
I worked with him on a feature called "The Saint of Fort Washington," and then he remembered me and a few months later, and when he was directing the video for "Get Me," and so I went up.
I love Dinosaur Jr. and Matt Dillon and you. And, but yeah, you got to, Dinosaur Jr., talk about guitar tone. Like, they have this cool guitar tone that nobody else has, you know? That dude, and songwriter, and his voice, it's all unique, you know, and it's coming all at you at once. Like, he's like the closest thing to Nirvana, I would say, on an artistic alt-rock vibe thing.
Yeah, they were contemporaries, so they were kind of had a very similar yoke, you know, they were coming out of that. But yeah, he's like, I think Jay Mascis was originally a drummer.
Cool.
So his, you know, like he's got like, you know, his songs that he plays on guitar have a, you know, he kind of knows how the drums are supposed to sound. So he's got the whole attack. I know he's like My Bloody Valentine, all those groups that put up this wall of sound.
Yeah.
You know?
Almost at a Hendrix level, but in an arty rock way. I love the song "Get Over It." Even that video where they're shooting at golf. Feel the pain of everyone. I mean, that is like the perfect video and the perfect song, man.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
so you're saying there might have been bills of Nirvana, or were they moving at the same time, or was Nirvana a little bit before Dinosaur Jr.?
I think they were all on a tour together, like, or they played some festivals. So
I could see that.
There's a movie that came out called "The Year Punk Broke,"
Yeah.
1991. The Year Punk Broke, and it had Sonic Youth, Nirvana, Dinosaur Jr., and I think My Bloody Valentine was in it too.
Wow.
So they were all kind of in the same graduating class, you know.
Yeah.
And probably all, you know, maybe at some point swapping, you know, the same backline, you know, using the same amps, or I don't know.
No, totally.
or
Nirvana
at
and
least, you know,
Smashing Pumpkins had that same Steve Albini, both mixed those albums. Yeah, they all switch. You know, it's like, you know, all these actors and comedians. Like, I'm like, oh, he knows that guy.
Yeah.
Craig Robinson, of course, with Pineapple Express. I opened for Craig. I've known him. I knew him before The Office. I opened for him in like Tempe Improv. The funniest, talk about musician, one of the most comical actor, great comic actor, one of the best comic actors, and then just a musician level of he's up there, man.
I saw him at Caroline's once.
Dope.
With his band.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was as thrilling musically as it was funny.
Yep.
It was both. It was like, how does someone combine, like, it's like you do stand-up or you do music, but he does both. He's like funny while he's playing the keyboards and singing. He did a cover of the theme song to Family Ties.
He loves that stuff, yeah. Anything 80s, or yeah, anything. He used to do, him and this guy Todd Rex, who's a DC comedian, they would go on stage and sing "Those Are the Days." Any like TV shit, like you could tell he studied that stuff as a kid to become an actor. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I haven't seen him in a while, but he's lovely.
This is the Cannabis Coffee Hour. Hiram, you think we got him for long enough? I don't want to burn him out. Kevin, how you feeling?
How do you have some good material here?
Yeah, I have some good material. We'll get out. I'll just ask you, Pineapple Express. That was because it's the Cannabis Coffee Hour. What was that? Was that because that was a huge major blockbuster film? What's that ride like?
I think, yeah. It was, well, I got into it through the producer. Well, yeah, Lisa Muscat. She produced David Gordon Green's first couple of features, like George Washington, All the Real Girls.
Oh, wow.
I was a fan of those films and a fan of David Gordon Green. And then, but then Judd Apatow was also involved. I'd worked with him already, so, but I was excited to work with David. And Lisa invited me to a party, and I got to meet him, so it worked out that I ended up in Pineapple Express. But then it was a comedy, you know, and George Washington is not really a comedy. And I always like to reference stuff, like if I'm in a movie with like Scorsese, I try to reference other Scorsese movies.
Yes.
I've managed to do that in the two things I worked with him on. And so I tried to do that with Pineapple Express, but David was like, yeah, no, that's a good idea, but let's keep it more like, I wanted to reference George Washington in Pineapple Express. It didn't make the cut. And I wanted to talk to him about that movie all the time, but there was like Seth Rogen, and there was Craig. It was a comedy environment.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like there was no place for my, my George Washington references.
George,
But,
I get it, man.
But the character I play just wants to get home to his wife, and he sort of, that became his niche. That became my character's thing. So I was a little like, I was being a little serious, you know.
Yeah, you were all business. I love it. And I have been in those circles, and especially around improv people or stand-up people, there is kind of like this, let's go for the joke, let's go for the joke. Whereas acting, I do believe in subtlety and like, yeah, just like a cool little sly reference that film heads would get is so dope. And yeah, I could see why that would be great to slip in there. And George Washington definitely smoked weed.
Yeah. It's like, but yeah, hanging out with with Craig was a lot of fun.
Oh, he's a great dude.
Yeah, the stand-up, like, I don't know, the line between like comedy and drama, and like stand-up comics and actors, and like, musicians, and like musicians are, everyone's kind of fascinated by each other's. Everyone's a little interested, or a little aloof, or a little kind of like, each other's,
Fan, yeah.
Sometimes there's an overlap between, like a musician who acts in a movie, or, it seems like a lot of like some stand-up comics are great actors.
Yeah.
And yet they reserve the right to not be identified as actors. They're like, I don't know what you guys are doing, you actors.
Yeah, that's just the stand-up attitude. I mean, it's a lone dog. You gotta just take. It's a salty attitude. It's not the most healthiest attitude, but for the gig, a lot of them have it. But yeah, acting and filmmaking is the most expensive art form, and it's literally making dreams happen. And acting is, I think it's all connected. Whether it's music or art or drawing. Yeah. Sometimes just the naming of things and the money and everything gets crazy, but just to be alive and doing it is just such a special thing.
Yeah. I can watch like an open mic night in a out of the way comedy club. I'll watch 25 comics, who've never been up on stage before. I love it because they're all funny at some point in their 5 minutes, whether they mean to be or not. And it's like, that's acting to me, Like I remember I used to go to the Upright Citizens Brigade in the late 90s or early 2000s,
of course.
Whatever. And I've never seen acting as brilliant as that.
Yeah.
And
those Chicago improv guys, learning that style of acting. That's why I was always kind of a weed smoking, C student back of the class type of kid. Loved stand up, loved Pryor, loved Bill Hicks, and I just went all in. But I wish I went more heavy on the improv. So when I audition, they are tapping into something. When you're doing that as acting, it's a fucking weapon to be able to improv and like live in that moment and not be afraid of it and kind of accept it.
Yeah. And stand-up is that way too. You know, it's like
At a high level.
I mean, there's nothing more method than that to me. You know.
Yeah.
As far as like method acting,
It's hard.
to go up on stage by yourself and talk about yourself, and you know, that's.
It's isolating, and there's a lot of fear, and I love the adrenaline of it. But I think acting, what I found cool, and I got to be in some little things and be on sets, and it is a teamwork thing. It does feel like a good set feels like a rock band, you know, like the actors are doing the thing, the director's doing the thing, everybody's getting paid, everybody's making this thing rock. Not that, but it feels like you're just getting something. You know, it's nice to work with other people.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
And I think that's a lot of the dance with acting that I learned. And you've been so patient with me. And we've done this for so long, and I wasn't sure the time. You're the third show, so I'm a little high, everybody. A little buzzed down on coffee and starstruck, but let's give it up for Kevin Corrigan. Thank you so much for coming on the Cannabis Coffee Hour. You want to plug anything?
Well, yeah, no, there's that show out in at the Astoria Arts Center.
Please. He's killing it out here.
2702 Ditmars Boulevard. I have some stuff there.
I love getting high and looking at art, going to museums, smoking a joint, and then going to see a Kevin Corrigan exhibit that's he has Marlon Brando, he has Ace Frehley. Your Ace Frehley looked sick, man.
Nice. Yeah.
All your art is amazing.
Yeah.
I recommend checking out his art show wherever it is.
Yeah, I have a Marky Smith portrait. The original is up. It's a big drawing. The guy from The Fall.
Oh, wow.
So that's my plug.
Oh, cool, man. Kevin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're beyond gentleman, cool, New York, classic, real as it gets. I love you. Peace and love out to the universe for the Cannabis Coffee Hour. That's it.
Ow.